Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So, I don't think Tesla's worth $6,000. That's where we're going to start this video at. There's this gentleman named Meet Kevin. I know he actually lives in California, and he's running for governor of California, actually. Fun fact. He thinks Tesla is worth $6,000 per share, and he thinks Tesla right now is cheap. Kathy Wood, another advocate for Tesla, thinks that it is worth at $3,000. And she's under fire for her valuation. If we look at other things just in the same market and in the same realm, Tesla is actually stupid high right now at $976 per share. If we look at Toyota, which does more vehicles, it's $172 per share. But Tesla's claim is they're not just an automobile company, which is why that their valuation can go so high. Obviously, they do batteries and a whole bunch of other stuff, but 99% of their money comes from cars. So if 99% of your money comes from cars, I would have the balls to say that you are a car company. But they say that they're not in the car company. So, this is their valuation. It's live right now. The market's open, so you're seeing live updates as the market changes. It's being updated as well. We'll go into how many cars they actually produce compared to other companies. If the valuation is high, low, what my valuation is, and we'll go from there. Another company that makes electric vehicles is Lucid, and they just started. I think their cars come out on the market, I think this year. Maybe it's the beginning of next year, but don't quote me on that. But we have a whole bunch of different, stats and statistics up of how many vehicles were produced and everything like that. So let's just dive in, see what Kevin has to say, if he has any bullish or bearish examples, and what our 2 cents is on the matter.
Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In this video I'm going to explain why I'm so freaking bullish on Tesla that I have now 14,000 shares of Tesla.
First of all, I like the fact that he tells us right off the bat that he's bullish on Tesla. You know what I mean? He doesn't hide his biases. He's like, I'm bullish on Tesla, and I own 14,000 shares, which is a shit ton of money. I know at the time this video is recording, it was around $600 a share, and it's up about to 1,000, or almost 1,000, right? 976. So he's made a shit ton of money. I'm not saying you cannot make money off of Tesla. I'm saying that I think the valuation is too high, and as a value investor, I'm not pursuing it. But this guy's clearly made a good chunk of money so far, and if it keeps going up, which I believe it will for a while, then that's just even more beneficial, right? I do think that it's going to continue to go up, but I think eventually it's just going to have a huge crash. So let's keep going.
47% of my portfolio is in Tesla.
30% of his portfolio, and he owns 14,000 shares. He's got a fat portfolio. Holy shit.
Got a few scenarios here I want to run through with you, and you're gonna see, okay, that's how we're coming up with a potential valuation for Tesla. Because right now, when you look at Tesla with traditional means, it feels overvalued, it feels pricey. But it's very difficult to value Tesla at today's metrics, or matrices, I don't even know if that's a word. But anyway, because what are we waiting for? We're waiting for batteries. We're waiting for chips.
I think that the traditional ways, as of today, of measuring companies are still fine. I think that they worked when the stock market opened, and they work today. I think that it gets dangerous territory when you say that the metrics used to measure today's stocks aren't valid. Because then what baseline do you have? What is valid? Is Tesla cheap? I don't know. Compared to what? What's it actually worth? You know what I mean? We have to find the value of something, not the price.
We're waiting for factory capacity. We're in a phase of hurry up and wait, right? And that is unfortunate because it does slow down growth, but it is a blessing because it lets me keep buying into Tesla cheaper and cheaper as people don't realize the long-run potential of Tesla. And look,
I think Tesla's a short-term play. I don't think it's a long-term play. For example, if you go to Tesla stock, which I obviously have up right here, and if we go over to the year-to-date, right? If you played the market perfectly, you could have got in at a low. Obviously, perfectly is used very loosely because you wouldn't know when it was to be at its lowest. But $597, $589. Yeah, so $600 would be the low of the year to date. If we just look at the 1 year, you're looking at $388, and now it's $987. So the first thing that you have to ask about yourself, or sorry, about the stock is, do you think that in 1 year Tesla's worth was 388 and then now it's 978? Why did it jump so much? Is it actually worth that? And then we have to go further then. But I think it's a short-term play. I definitely don't think it's a long-term play. Because as, the hype goes down, so does the stock, right? So let's just go back to the 1 day, and let's keep chugging.
I could be wrong. I'm just some dude on the internet, but I am so bullish on Tesla, and I'm so excited to share some of these numbers with you. So I'm going to keep this simple. We're going to go through my bull case, my base case, what Wall Street's consensus estimate is.
Because Wall Street's never wrong.
And then we're going to do a gigawatt comparison, and that's going to be special. Gigawatt. Okay, so the easiest way to do this.
For all of you guys that don't know, the gigawatt is I'm pretty sure it's their machine that uses actually presses to make the machines. It's actually really cool. And I'm a big fan of the technology, but again, I don't like to overpay for things. And that's what this should all be about. It should be about, do you want to overpay for something? And can you overpay for growth, right?
Start with production ramp rate. And so this is my projection for the Tesla ramp rate for how many vehicles they can deliver. In 2020, we delivered approximately 500,000 vehicles.
About 500,000 in 2020.
I think that's going to go up to 950,000 in 2021.
Let's pop over to the Tesla worldwide. At 2021, we are at, that's Q2, so let's do Q1. We've got 200, 400. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. Q1, so 200, 400, 600. We're about 600,000 vehicles right now. And he predicts that they'll get to 950. I think that they'll probably get to 800. 750, 800,000.
When Giga Berlin, Austin, Fremont, and Shanghai are at full capacity, each of these facilities will be fully capable of producing 1 million vehicles each. That means by 2024, we should have
Okay, but you also have to remember that just because they can make 1 million doesn't mean that people are going to buy 1 million. That's first of all. And then if you look at his numbers, he's got 20, look at his numbers. By 2027, he believes that they'll make 10 million cars. 10 million. Well, how many, oh, guess that's not popping up. How many did Toyota make? Well, let's just Google this. How many cars does Toyota make per year? Toyota's a pretty good example. They own the market. Okay, they make about 10 million per year. So he says they're gonna match Toyota in their car making in 2027. He's gonna match them. One of the most popular brands on the road. The reason that they're the most, they're so popular is because they have a car for everybody. And I know that Tesla's working on their $20,000 electric car, but it's not out yet. So you can't use that as a prediction.
Marker of 4 million vehicles. If we produce or create 2 more facilities by 20...
Also, just to put this in context, Toyota makes 10 million cars per year, and their stock is only worth $172. And they make 10 million per year worldwide. So how much would...
2025, when we start scaling those, I believe we could get to 6...
Yeah, so 2030. In 2030, they're going to make 16 million cars, which is almost, it's 1.5 times more than all of Toyota's that they make per year. So Tesla's going to be at least 50% of the market. Just think reasonably and logically. That means every, out of how many cars you see on the road, that means half of them are going to be Toyota and half are going to be Tesla, and then 3% are going to be, Ford, BMW, etc. I just don't think that's reasonable, right? Like if we're maybe in fairy tale land, but just think about it. 16 million cars in 2030. Okay, 16 million. Well, how many cars have they made this year? They've made 500,000 so far. So you're going from 500,000 cars to 16 million in what, 9 years? Oy vey.
6 million in 2025, or at least to 7.2 million by 2026, and so on, all the way up to my bullish thesis of 16 million cars by 2030. Now that's crazy, because how does that compare to the rest of the world? Well, look at this. Toyota in 2020 delivered 14.3%.
So Toyota was 14% of the market at 10 million cars.
Vehicles delivered, which of 74 million vehicles delivered, Toyota delivered about 10.6 million vehicles. So saying that Tesla might deliver 16 million vehicles in 2030 is assuming that Tesla beats Toyota's market share. It's a very, very, very bullish.
There's no way.
Remember, this is the bull thesis, so we're going to go to the more like nuanced theses in just a moment.
So this is his absolute best case scenario is what he's going for.
If we go with a bullish thesis here of
best case scenarios have to be realistic, right? Like, I would never just say, best case scenario, I wake up a millionaire because I won the lottery. But if I didn't buy the ticket, then therefore it's a fairy tale, right? Like, that would be absolute best case scenario. But if you never bought the ticket, then it doesn't matter because it doesn't exist. There's no, this is fairy tale land. He says Toyota's 14% market share, of globally. It's got to beat Toyota, not just match, but beat. You know how hard that is? Toyota is just such a family, like a family well-known brand. I'm not saying Tesla's a bad brand, because they're not. But you have the Camry, you have the Corolla that have been around forever, and people get them for their reliability. Okay, let's just keep going.
16 million cars by 2030. And the easiest way to assume robo-taxi revenue, full self-driving revenue, is, in my opinion, just to lump this into the car's revenue, because otherwise we're making way too many projections over how robo-taxi is going to be monetized and full self-driving. So I'm going to say $42,000 per vehicle, fully monetizing autonomy. So if it's a $200,000 semi or a $20,000 car that Tesla ends up selling.
All right, so revenue per vehicle, including full self-driving. I think that Tesla is actually going to make a big chunk of money by selling their full self-driving when it comes out. That's what I think. I think that it's going to be from cars, and then second is going to be their software for their full self-driving, because, they're a really good software company as well. But I don't think that they're going to make 20% on it, if I'm being honest. On their software, yes, 100%. But per car, no.
I think the average selling price is going to be around $42,000 in my bullish thesis. This is then simple math. We multiply to get revenues. We have generally around 2.7 to 3% of cars that get leased at Tesla. We get services that are usually around 10%. I'm bumping that to 12% in my bullish thesis here.
I'd be okay with that.
There's going to be a limitation or a risk factor for batteries, obviously, for this expansion. But my bullish thesis is Tesla easily getting to over $130 billion in energy revenue. Solar, batteries, solar roofs, mega packs.
No. What percentage of Tesla sales are solar roof, batteries, mega packs, etc. right now? And obviously I understand that you have growth, but you can't overpay for growth. And if they make all their money off of cars, you should stick to how much money they're going to make off of cars plus a percentage over here of, whatever they're making. And I would take into account what they currently make and then project it out. You can't just say, we're going to make $134 billion off of energy, batteries. It's all battery. No.
Endless opportunities for Tesla. And so I think Tesla's energy division will be 20+% of their car division in 2030. Insurance. Elon Musk thinks insurance could be as much as 25% of the value of the company. Going with 15% of the value of revenue of vehicles.
15% for insurance. So now he's saying that, Tesla's going to offer insurance. They definitely could. It's not in the realm of possibilities of, something that they can't do. But they haven't done it yet. So to say that they're going to make $100 billion, which is almost their whole amount that they would, if they make 134 off of energy, and they're saying 100 billion off of insurance, I don't think that that's realistic at all. Let's keep going.
I'm worried this might be a little bit too bullish. So we'll see, and obviously the further you project out, the more risky things get. Now, including semis, robo-taxi, full self-driving again in vehicle revenue.
We don't know. Let's just keep going. We don't know robo-taxis. We don't know everything. They're still working on full self-driving, right? And before, I guess, we continue this video, I don't hate Tesla. I own one. There's a picture of mine right here. So I don't hate them at all. I really actually like the car. And I owned the stock, but I sold it because I, as a value investor, meaning I buy for a penny on the dollar, right? Or I buy for 40% and sell it, 100%. Like, I buy at a discounted rate. And Tesla, I can't buy at a discounted rate. It's already too high. You can make money off of it, yes. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying if you want to play a value play, like a long-term hold play, you have nowhere to stand on because you're like, is it going to go up? Is it go down? And well, it's all based off the hype.
We'll talk about consensus estimates in a moment. Not so important right now.
Like, Tesla's valuation is higher than every single car company combined. Every car company. So then you have to realize, okay, well, are they worth more than every other car company combined? Yes or no? Do they make more cars than the car companies? No. Well then, what percentage does Tesla actually make? Well, if they make 500,000 and 14% is Toyota, a very small percentage, right? A very small percentage.
But in my opinion, that brings Tesla to, and this, who knows? I mean, this could be 2030. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be 2029. Maybe it ends up being 2032, but this is coming, in my opinion. $1 trillion revenue for Tesla.
He thinks Tesla is going to hit $1 trillion in revenue. Let's look at Apple real quick. Let's look at Apple stock. Oh, excuse me. Let's look at Apple stock real quick. They're a $2 trillion, $2.5 trillion company. Well, how long did it take them to get to $2 trillion? Very long. I think they just got this either a year or two ago. And now that once you get to $1 trillion, then you can jump up even faster. But it took Apple, the biggest cell phone company. Almost everybody has something at their house that's an Apple. Or I should probably say 70%, right? Whether it's an iPhone, it's AirPods, it's a HomePod, it's a Mac. Something is Apple. Apple TV. They have their subscription. They have their website. They have so many things. So, okay, let's just keep going.
If Tesla hits $1 trillion in revenue and we get to not even as bullish as Elon is with his margin, but we get to a 28% margin
Well, let's talk about why Elon's bullish. Because he owns a lot of shares. So he would benefit from being bullish. He's a very smart guy. Very smart guy. And obviously he's not going to be, bearish about it. Because that's a ton of money.
An expense margin of 72% on vehicles. We could end up using regular margins that we see for some of these other items and 10% in operating expenses, which might end up being a little bit high. We would end up getting to a profit for Tesla somewhere around $86 billion.
So if they hit $1 trillion, they would profit $86 billion. Let's think about that real quick. If they made $1 trillion, they would profit $86 billion. No comment. I don't know. I'm not going to do the math over here, so we're just going to keep going.
Take out about 20% for taxes. Even if Biden jacks this up to 28%, we'll still have credits and loopholes and ways of lower.
Fun fact, the Tesla credit is gone. I did not get mine with my vehicle because they made too many vehicles. So there was no tax credit.
During our effective tax rate, depreciation, and so on, I would expect an average tax rate of around 20%. That would leave us a net
I think it'd be higher. I think it's more like 30, but let's keep going.
Income of around $68.7 billion divided by shares outstanding currently. Obviously, that is going to increase in the future.
Obviously, obviously it's going to increase. Shares outstanding increased hurts you. It hurts you by a lot. It's the silent killer, if you guys didn't know. Basically, what shares outstanding means more people own a piece of the pie. Therefore, your piece of the pie, is now less and less. So therefore, that's the silent killer. You want to have companies actually buy back their shares. But if you notice, most companies are smart enough to buy back when it is undervalued, right? For example, if we'll just say Kraft Heinz, right, had a high of 60 of the year, say this year. This is all, theoretical, of course. And now it's down to $45, and they have some extra money in their free cash flow. They're then going to buy it at $45 because it's undervalued, if it's valued at $60, actually. Therefore, they're getting their stock back for a cheaper price than what it's worth, right? They're getting it on sale. That's what they generally do, because then once they buy back, it means less shares outstanding, which means your piece of the pie is now worth more. But no reputable company that I know of generally buys stocks for higher than what they think it's valued. Example, Tesla would not buy stocks back right now. Why? Because they can use their stocks as a form of debt, right? Issuing more stocks. And it's a better way of debt because it's, zero interest, right? So it's a smart play for them, 100%. But it's a bad play for you. Why is it a bad play for you? Because you own a smaller piece of the pie, right? So say you own, let's just do simple, say you have 10 stocks. 10 people, one person owns each stock for a total of 10. So you own 1/10, okay? Say they just dish out, 10 more shares. Well, now you own half of that because they just doubled their shares, right? So now you own 1/5. Just be wary.
That is something to keep in mind, is there will be more shares outstanding in the future. So we'll see how that ramps up. But if we just use the shares outstanding that we have today, we'll get to about an earnings per share of around $61 with a price today at $700. This means we're only pricing Tesla at about 11 times forward earnings in 2030.
Okay. Let's jump into Tesla real quick. So what is their per earning right now? So missed estimate, actual, right here, beat. This is where we're at currently. So $2. Actual 1.9. Yeah, that's a no bueno. Look at that. High risk. Let's look at their finances real quick, just to jump over it, right? Just a glance rooski, if you will. Revenue made, or we'll say made, 11 billion. Actually earned nothing. They were negative too. Profited 21 billion. Great. Actually lost about a billion. Revenue 24 billion. Lost 862 million. This is the first year that they've actually made money, was 2020. We're on 2021, obviously. But the 721 million doesn't even cover one of the last years, right? One. I don't care what analysts say. Most of the time they're wrong. So let's just keep on going. So we go back to here.
The dollars we're paying today is 11 times forward earnings. And if Tesla ends up...
Anything's a PE of 100 is fine. Let's look at the PE of Toyota real quick. If it's not on here, I'll just Google it real quick, but I believe it's on a PE of 10. Once companies get so large, their growth, it's harder for them to grow, right? So therefore, a PE that's justifiable generally can't be that high. Like, think of any big company. Let's use a software company this time, because I feel like software, they make the most amount of money off of software. So let's look off Microsoft's PE. Even Microsoft's PE is Yahoo Finance. They have a PE of 38. A Tesla's PE of 100 is outlandish. It should not be 100. Let's look at Tesla's PE right now. 317. Their price to earnings is 317. That's the highest I think I've seen. on any company. I think 100 is decreasing it by 1/3. Let's look at Amazon PE. Amazon. I think it's also less than 300. Yeah, look at that. 57. What's Google's PE? Let's look at just Goog. 30. Every reputable company that you can find doesn't have a PE that high. And I'm not saying that's an indication that it's too high, but that's one of the many indications, right? Let's keep going.
It's up with a PE ratio of 100 in the future. It may not. 100 is really growth dependent. I mean, we would still have to be growing like crazy. Like, if we go over here to get 100...
At least he knows that it's crazy. It's at 300 right now, which is even more crazy.
We would barely have to be starting to see that curve of the S curve. And what I mean by that, like, is if we put in, let's say, 17 million right here. See, we start getting that S curve, that flattening. If we start getting that, 100's going to start being a little bit rich. So this could be a little bullish, but...
So 100 could be a little bit rich. So put this in a valuation metric, right? Of, put how much they make, how much, we'll do that together. We'll definitely do that together, and we'll see what I think it's worth.
I am very bullish on Tesla. Okay, so I'm being transparent about my bias here.
At least he's transparent. So let's go forward a little bit.
So
this is bullish. Tesla is dominant. Let's look at something a little bit more.
Let's look at what the estimate is.
All right.
Still bullish, 15%. That's still more than Toyota's doing today. All right, let's look at what Wall Street is projecting.
Let's look at Wall Street.
Wall Street is projecting. I backwards engineered this a little bit, so let me start with what they started with. Wall Street is projecting a consensus estimate of $389 billion in total revenues for 2030. And then they start tapering off after 2030. They actually think Tesla revenues will start declining in 31, 32, and you won't see growth anymore. You'll actually see shrinkage. And nobody likes to see shrinkage.
Which kind of makes sense because once they're so big, it's hard to grow. But let's just see what Wall Street thinks.
Which, by the way, Wall Street estimates range from about $250 billion in revenue in 2030 up to $600 billion in 2030.
So he's using the mean.
$1 trillion in revenue. In my bull thesis, I'm pretty high. I'm potentially a little overly bullish. In my base case
You're way
scenario,
too high, but
I'm
it's a
also
bullish
high.
thesis.
I'm at
So
754 billion, but that's because I think Wall Street misunderstands Tesla, and I don't agree with other people's estimates. So anyway,
I do think that
Wall Street's numbers. So this is Wall
let's just
Street's
keep going.
consensus estimate, and we give them a 70 times earnings multiple in the future. This would be about a $1,700 stock, which if you buy today at $700 gives you about a 9.24.
So even at 70%, it's still way too high. It's at 300 right now. So it's saying, yo, the PE needs to drop by no. Let's just keep going.
% return. You could probably, if this ended up being true, you could probably do better elsewhere. Start with a smaller company. But
you could do better elsewhere.
I want to know what Tesla's thinking. So
I don't care what Tesla's thinking.
I want to do some gigawatt
Why?
math.
Because
But before we talk about,
I don't care what Tesla's thinking because nobody goes to a salesman and says, what do you think about this product? They're always going to say it's good. Like if you want to buy a phone or a TV or a car, say you want to buy a car, right? Because we're talking about cars. So you want to buy a Ford pickup truck for some reason. Don't know why you would, but if you want to, you go to Ford. You wouldn't tell me, tell me all about this truck. They're only going to tell you the good things. They might tell you a couple bad things, but for the most part, they're going to be like, it's the best truck. This truck does everything you need. We want it in electric. We have an electric one. It's called the Lightning, right? Etc. Etc. If you wanted to know about the company and their downfalls, you would either go to somebody that just quit, or you'd go to somebody that works there and that doesn't have any biases, or you'd go to a competitor so you could hear what their competitors are saying, and then obviously take everything with a grain of salt, right? So I don't think. Let's just hear what they have to say. It's gonna be less than what he thinks for their bullish.
Mention that if you want to buy a Tesla, I'll get a little that out. Okay, let's go to gigawatt. So gigawatt batteries.
All right, so I'm just gonna scroll through this real quick. So Elon discount 10%, 20%, $70 per kilowatt, 84 billion. So if we keep ad break.
Projections again.
70. So they think 3,000.
That would give us an EPS of about 44. which means a reasonable price for Tesla could be just over $3,000 in 2030, which actually aligns roughly with my base case projection. So my base case projection is a price of $3,200 for Tesla. Based on Tesla's numbers, we should also be at about $3,000 per share in 2030.
$3,000 per share.
A return on your money of about 16.03% compounded every single year for the next 10 years. If you buy it at $700 per share. Now, yes, I realize I am very highly bullish on his share.
All right, so let's close that out and let's do some of our metrics real quick. Okay. Kathy Wood owns ARK Investment, or she manages it. She thinks that it's worth $3,000. I think she's full of shit, if we're being honest. You know, I pride myself in my honesty. So let's just close that. PE of 317 right now. Volume overpriced. They don't make enough money. But it's up 10% today, which is, you know, good for them. And again, I'm not hating on the company. I love the company. I love the cars. I love the features. I actually love everything about this company. What I don't love is their stock valuation, because it doesn't align with what it's actually worth. In the short term, the market is a voting machine. Everybody says, you know, this is what I think it's worth. This is what I think it's worth. This is what I think it's worth. In the long term, it's a weighing machine where it actually weighs the company of how much they make, etc., etc., etc. So that's what I think about that. Let's see if I can get everythingmoney.com up, and let's see if we can look up the 8 pillars. Oh, I think I have it right here. All right, let's see. 8 pillars. Log in. Sign in. No thanks. 8 pillars. Tesla. Let's look at their valuation, right? Let's be very open, honest, and transparent with each other, like I am with you and you are with me. Let's do that. First of all, check these guys out if you like investing stuff. They do way more in-depth stuff than I do, for being honest, and they're a great bunch of guys. All right, so let's look at this. Market cap, 950 billion. Revenue, 41 billion. Net income, PE of 442. Profit margin of 5%. Gross profit margin of 22%. 5-year cash flow average of negative 500 million. Let's look at their income, okay? Because that's probably one of the most important parts, because it's all off of how much money they make. So if we scroll down, we've got operating revenue of, let's do yearly. That makes it a lot easier to look at. So yearly operating revenue, 34, revenue, cost, gross profit, net income. Okay, so let's look at their balance sheet. Cash and equivalents, how much is their long-term debt? Total assets of negative 55, total long-term debt was 30. Okay, we've got cash flow. Let's look at the cash flow. It's all about the cash flow, everybody. Total cash from operations, 9 billion. Cash from investing, it's negative 6. Financing, ending cash, debt repayment. Okay, so let's go to the 8 pillars. This is 8 pillars is basically the 8 things that they look at to even go, you know, is this company worth going in depth in? You know what I mean? Like, is this worth my time? And just right off the bat, you can look at 5-year price to free cash flow is greater than 20. It's not in here. 5-year cash flow, good. Long-term liabilities divided by 5-year free cash flow is greater than 5. Yeah, it's negative 30 almost. Shares outstanding is 30%. That's huge. Good income, good revenue, but their return on invested capital is horrible, and they don't have the PE. So let's put this in a stock analyzer tool. And what this stock analyzer tool is basically, it's just math. You put in some numbers based off of historical data and your assumptions, and you have a high, a middle, and a low. And you have to find generally in between, right? So if I say it's a low, Tesla, say it's basically $1,000 right now. We'll call it $1,000. If I think the low is worth $1,200, and that's that's the low that I'm definitely buying. But if the high is 1,300, then I'm not buying. Why? Because it's at its high, and you make money off of the purchase and not the sale. So let's put this in. So revenue growth, we've had 10 years, 5 years, 1 year. How much do we think it's gonna grow? I think that let's say on the high, 30%. 15, 20, and 15. I don't think that they're going to grow. And we'll change that to see, obviously. We'll mess with it. Share change. 3.6, 6.8, 7.2. I think that they're going to continue to issue shares because it's at all-time high right now. So we want higher to lower. So I think it's going to be 10, 7, 10, 8, 7. Profit margin, 5%. Because they have negative, and the first year they've actually made money, 5%. Free cash flow margin, 6%, 2%, or negative 2%, and 5%. Let's just average it at 3%. Because that's still being, because their 10 years is negative 5, negative 9, or negative 1.9, and then 6. PE, 442 is astronomically high. The biggest company I've seen is Amazon with theirs, and it's no. So let's do a PE of something reasonable. Let's do 20. It's a growth company, so it's growing. 25, and we'll do 30 PE, and same for free cash flow. Okay, and I want 10%, 15%, and 20%. Okay, so this is basically saying if these numbers are correct, it'll shoot me out a valuation. So let's just hit analyze of 15, 20, 30, 10, 8, 7, 5, 5, 5, 3, 3, 3, 20. And let's do analyze. Let's do 7 years. So a low of $44 and a high of 90. Let's change this. Let's do, they do 50%, 60%, and 100%. Do we still make money? Okay, this is a little better. So 242 is the low, so you'd be getting that for a steal. 350 is about the median, which means you probably want to buy it for about 350. And the high is just astronomical because of the 100% that we put in here. So that means if you believe this valuation, then you should buy it for about $380, right? So if you think that Tesla's going to grow 60% this year, they're going to they're going to have 8% shares, give 8% shares. They still make 5%. And you want to make 15% back on your money, then you should buy it for about $400. Okay? So let's change this back to, and this is the high. So to get this number right here, 1,600, they would have to do 100%. Oh, share change. Sorry, this is share buyback. So 100%, they're going to buy back 7% shares. Well, they're not buying back any, so we hit 0. What does that look like? Oh yeah, dip 2.5. If they bought back shares, 2.5. If they didn't, they issue shares again. You're looking at, what is it, 10? You're back to 1,400. Okay. Profit margin of 5, free cash flow of 3, PE of 30. So say all these are right, but we do realistic PEs. 16, 18, 20. What does that look like? So absolute best case scenario, they make 100% growth, which is huge, double than what they've ever done. Share change of 10%, profit margin of still 5, free cash flow 3, which is generous considering it's negative. We do PE of 20, which is still stupid high. We have to change their price to free cash flow as well. We didn't do that. 20, and then you want to make 20% back on your money. It's still a high of 968, still, which is higher than it currently is right now. 989. So it's just overpriced, right? So let's be reasonable. What do I think it's actually worth? And I'll change the mid column. 60. If we do 62%, let's be generous. It's going to grow, and this is obviously an additional amount. This doesn't mean it's going to grow 200%. It's going to grow to an additional 100%. So it would be 162% growth. I think it's going to grow 20, 30, 40. Share change. Let's do 3, 2, 1. And this is being stupid generous. Profit margin, let's still say 5%. Free cash flow of 3, 16, 18, 20, 16, 18, 20, and 10, 15, 20. Yeah. I think so. It has a high of 150, and it's off of growth, right? We want to talk about growth, so you can pay more for growth. So what happens if we jump this up to 40, 60, 80? I feel like this is a little bit more accurate. 40, 60, 80? Yeah. Growing an additional 40%, 60%, 80%, because this is a hype stock, right? People are buying this. A lot of people are buying this, which then gives you anywhere from 193 to 791 with a mid of 409. If you just do multiple of earnings. If you want to look at discounted cash value, you're looking at that. So that means you should get this company for about $409. If you want to do mid, I would buy, personally, if that was me, I'd buy it $300, and I would sit, because that's under the valuation of the company. Therefore, even worst case scenario where it's at mid of 409, I've made $100 a share, right? So that's this is probably being a little bit more generous. 409 to 791. I think $300 a share is that sweet spot. Let's try to get it to 3,000, and then that's where we'll end the video. So I'll close you again. I own a Tesla, so don't hate on me. I love the car. Toyota makes vehicles. Close on that. Close on that. This is their stock right now. It's at $991 per share. It's gonna hit $1,000 today, which is cool. All right. Now, what would we have to do to make it hit $3,000 a share? Well, we would change the PE to something stupid like 30, 50, 100. And then so this is what they would have to do. So for the next 7 years, right? For the next 7 years, they would have to grow at 80% per year, with a 1% share change, a 5% profit margin, a PE of 100, and a desired earning of 20%. Then it would be worth $3,500. So if you believe that they're going to go 80% per year for the next 7 years at a PE of 100, then buy it. That's what it comes down to. If you think that it's going to be an 80% change every single year for 7 years and a PE of 100, then buy it. It's a steal right now. 100%. 992. But if you're being realistic and you think that, the valuation is about $500, $300 to $400, then you're getting scammed. You're 100% getting scammed. You're losing half your money. If it just dropped down now. Do I think it's going to go up? Yes. Because it's a hype stock. But I don't think it's sustainable. At all. 100%. But that's just my 2 cents on Tesla, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you got something out of it. Obviously, again, this is just my 2 cents. I'm not buying it. You can buy it, and you can definitely short it and make some money. I 100% agree with that, but I personally will not be shorting it. Just because I try to buy things under value, and if you buy things for overvalue, all you have to do is, get screwed over, because if it goes down, then it's not worth it. For example, if we just go back to 5 years, 5 years ago, 5 years ago, November 1st, 2016, about year I graduated high school, $37 a share. And we start going up. So if you just look at right here, this dip right here, 2020 to 2021 of September, basically a year and a couple months, right? As of the time of this video, it was worth $429. What changed? You know what I mean? And is it worth this? Would you go to the grocery store and would you pay this? And is it worth it, and why? I just don't believe it is. Right? Like, do you believe that Tesla, the company, is worth more than every other car company combined? And if so, why? Do they make more cars? Is their growth just that much higher? Do I think that they're going to be the future of cars? Probably, with their full self-driving, their touchscreens and everything. They are very, very nice. But that doesn't justify the valuation of $993 compared to every other company's, you know, Toyota's at 172, Ford's at like 20 bucks. 20 bucks. $990. It just is what it is, right? Like, I'm not upset about it, but I'm also not happy about it because I would love to purchase Tesla stock at a reasonable price. Unfortunately, it's not a reasonable price. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.